Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Late Wednesday night in the Miami Hurricanes commitment sweatshirt comes back on. Now, it's been a hot minute. This one fires me up. Three-star defensive lineman Frederick Sainteus committing to Miami. Now, I'm just going to say what I like about this kid right off the bat. 6'3 and a half, 280 pounds, carries the weight exceptionally well, has a throwing background, has a wrestling background, very good athlete for the size. Look, is this kid the best pure football player that you see in 2026? No, probably not. That's why the recruiting ranking is where it is. And I would expect it to get a little bit of a bump over the next couple of weeks. You're betting on this kid 10 times out of 10. Yeah, it's going to take a year or two. Ain't no question about it. Look at what Miami's done in terms of developing line of scrimmage play. This is a perfect fit. And the second part of this conversation is when you have the opportunity to stack bodies like this, you're doing it every single time. We talk about this every single offseason. It is so hard to address this position in the portal. There's just not that many good players in the portal, and they all cost a lot of money. So if you want to have quality line of scrimmage play, if you want to have quality depth in the middle of their defensive line, make sure you're grabbing these bodies out of the high school ranks. And Frederick Sainteus is a guy that you bet on every single day of the week. Fired up to get into him before we do, and as always, to the Miami fans, appreciate you guys. And we say this all the time too. As much as the Miami fans show a ton of support to the boys in the fall, especially when Miami's winning a lot of football games, the amount of support this fan base continues to show the boys when we're talking the recruiting trail, when we're talking the transfer portal, it's amazing. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk about it a little bit later on, but if I'm a Miami fan, look, I'm fired up about what we're seeing on Saturdays. I'm even more fired up, or just as fired up, about what it might look like for Miami on the recruiting trail over the next couple of weeks and months as well. Without further ado, let's get into Frederick Santus. Now, a little bit of a background here. Moved from Haiti to the United States a couple of years ago. Just started playing football during his sophomore year of high school, where he started playing JV football. Quickly got the bump up to varsity. You turn on the junior year film and say, hey, he's clearly still learning the sport. But I'll say this, I mean, he is really, really twitchy. He's a phenomenal athlete, and he's got a really nice frame. He carries 280 pounds very, very well, and he looks like he's got some real length to him as well. And so I'm looking at him and saying he's got all the athletic profile markers that we're looking for an interior defensive lineman. He's got a wrestling background. He's got a throwing background. This kid checks off almost every single box that you're looking for. Now, again, is he rough around the edges? Yeah, absolutely. Like, number one, we got to get some weight on him. He's got plenty of frame to get up to around 300 plus pounds. Secondly, we've got to teach him a little bit more about the sport. Well, I'm looking at Miami and saying, hey, they ain't got no problem developing line of scrimmage players down there in Coral Gables right now. This seems like a guy you want to bet on, but man, does it make sense for a program like Miami for this kid to wind up on. The other thing I like about him as a pure football player is his versatility. Like, you could see him playing a little bit of nose. You could see him playing a little bit of three tech as well. I think a guy that you can move along the defensive line. And how about lastly, man, does this kid play with a high motor? And as much as, and I'm not comparing him to Ruben Bain, but when I talk about high motor, I immediately think about a player like Ruben Bain. You look at this Miami defense, and one of the things that stands out to me right off the bat, and no doubt what made Corey Heatherman, Damian Lewis, Jason Taylor fall in love with this kid, is how hard he plays the sport. Because go look at what Miami is doing on defense right now. Go look at Ruben Bain, not only physically dominating the competition he plays every single Saturday, there's not a player in the country that plays harder than Ruben Bain either. And that's kind of the culture you're seeing with this Miami defense under Corey Heatherman. I'm looking at Freddie Santus and saying, look, this kid's going to fit right in because he plays extremely hard, chasing down backside, always pursuing the football. This one makes a ton of sense for a ton of different reasons. Now, I want to take us to where Miami sits in 2026. because I think there's a unique opportunity for Miami to really catch fire going into National Signing Day. Number one, because the relationships are already in place. We talk about it pretty much 12 months out of a year. It started back in the winter with some of these unofficial visits, and then it goes into the summer with all the official visits that Miami hosted. They got relationships with everybody across the country. Now, they might not have won the first go of the commitment during the summer for some of these names. You're circling back to a lot of these names. And if I'm Mario Cristobal, I'm texting every single line of scrimmage player that we recruited in the summer, specifically on the defensive line. And I'm showing them what Ruben Bain looks like right now. And I'm showing them what Akeem Mesidor looks like right now. And what Ahmad Moten looks like right now. What David Blay looks like right now. And say, hey, you want to get developed? You want to become a dominant football player at the collegiate ranks and go to the NFL? How many better spots to do so than what Miami's doing with these defensive linemen down there in Coral Gables? We talked about this too. When Mario Cristobal first took the job at Miami, he was selling the vision of what this program could be. That vision that he was selling is quickly becoming a reality down there at Miami. They are dominating the line of scrimmage. They're probably going to put out double-digit NFL draft picks to the NFL draft come April. And I'm looking at Miami and say that this is a program that we know they've already formulated those relationships because nobody works harder than Mario Cristobal on the trail. Now that you're winning football games, now that you're really showing the development that this program has. Remember when Jackson Campbell committed to Miami back in the summer? Maybe it was the summer, maybe late spring, summer. And the whole conversation was he just went to Miami for a bag. Like all them, and I don't mean to say like idiots, but like that was such an idiotic take, if we're being honest, because look at what Miami's doing along the offensive line. They're doing the same thing now on the defensive line too. This fallacy that you only come to Miami because of NIL is ludicrous, especially if you're a line of scrimmage player. And now you're seeing that play out on the field, because I'll say this, they had a program that is dominating the line of scrimmage like Miami is right now to start 2025. Here's the other thing. I mean, you're competing at a national championship level, and you're doing it with a lot of young talent. If I'm a kid in 2026 and I might be committed to another school, I'm looking at Miami and say, all right, not only do I know I'm going to get developed because I'm seeing that play out on the football field, not only am I going to compete for championships because I'm seeing that play out on the football field, I can do it when I'm young. Your best pass catcher on your football team is Malachi Tony. Look at guys. We could go through the list. Joshua Moore at the wide receiver spot as well. Bryce Fitzgerald at safety. I'm looking at Marquise Lightfoot year 2, Armando Blunt year 2. Looking at all these guys. Ruben Bain been playing since he's been a freshman. Not only can you go to Miami and get developed, compete for championships, you're also going to have the opportunity to do it when you're a freshman and sophomore, because Miami's showing you come to Miami, you're going to get a chance to play and play at a pretty damn high level. Miami's checking the boxes, and this was the last box they needed to check, right? There was a lot going Miami's way in terms of recruiting attraction. The last piece of the puzzle was we winning at a high level. It's fair to say that box is being checked right now for Miami in 2025. Frederick Sainteus really, and I like this kid. I'm excited. Put him in your back pocket is the best way to kind of wind down this episode. Put him in your back pocket. He's probably not going to play a ton in 2026. What's he going to look like in 2027? What's he going to look like in 2028? We'll see. All right, we'll get out of here on that. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.